Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. In a slightly different scenario this week, we're doing our first ever live recording. And when I
Hey,
look
how's it
over
going?
there, it's because I'm looking at Paul. And when he does the same, it means he's looking at me.
Yeah.
We
You're
are,
down there, he's up there.
and you're all out there. This is a behind the scenes look at what goes into making this wonderful show and how little we are set up to live stream. But in the time of, I don't know what are we calling this, the sadness. I'm sick of calling it Corona or COVID.
Yeah.
We're going to try and keep our content going. We'd love you to join us. And because it is the topic of the hour, we're going to talk about COVID or coronavirus's effect or likely effect on streaming and the cinema.
Yeah.
I'm Patrick. Who are
I'm
you?
Paul.
And we're here as out. So let's just jump into it. Oh, that's very Phil DeFranco. I better be careful.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
used to we're used to being beside each other, so it's going to be harder for me to know when to shut up because I don't have Paul's like ability for him to hit me in the leg and go, "You've talked too long." So, Paul, what's the first thing that you wanna get out there about how COVID could affect entertainment?
Well, obviously we've got the social distancing thing, which is kind of caused closures in a lot of places just because, businesses are being respectful and responsible. So like cinemas and which goes like even gaming stores or, even the local kind of like golden discs and stuff and HMV and stuff, they're all closed. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing.
And and what do you think the fallout? Like, there are stories going around, and we were going to try this about a week ago or so, or a little bit more. And one of the things that kind of came up for around that time that we were going to be covering in streaming wars was, hey, Disney Plus is coming out. Well, Disney Plus has come out,
Yeah,
and it's come out at a time when people are quite literally homebound, and people are dying for streaming stuff. And Netflix have been having streaming difficulties in Europe. So has
yeah,
Disney Plus just looked out?
yeah. Or they've caused this. It's a
Like,
great campaign. Conspiracy.
I think the Walt Disney Corporation is unbelievably powerful. I
Yeah,
don't know if I'm going to pin a pandemic on them just yet.
I don't know. Like it's perfect timing for everything.
Well,
Like,
it is now that I say it out loud. Conspiracy theories start like this.
yeah, yeah, they do. You heard it here first.
Well, actually, in the counter argument to that, here's the big story. All the people that started rumbling last week, the idea that Apple could try and buy Disney because Disney shares are in free fall thanks to the fact that they're not going to be able to. Like Disney Plus is doing well, but their big earners traditionally have been the other pillars, which, aside from merch, is the theme parks, and obviously what we've all been talking about and what we've talked about in this channel. They're a massive industry, and that's a cinema
Yeah.
driven industry. So do you think Apple would like? I know the business people will say this is likely. I just don't know if I see it happening.
Like I don't know if the shares will fall so far enough. Like, because like the shares are still kind of like fine.
Mm,
They are falling, like obviously because as you said, they can't do merchandise and they can't do the parks and stuff. But I don't see it. I don't see it at this point.
yeah,
Like if we were to go like, yeah, the whole coronavirus thing is finished, and we kind of started to solve everything and all that kind of stuff. If the stocks had still tanked then maybe. I just think it's a little bit kind of like money grabby greediness of Apple, and it'll play really badly
yeah. I
for.
think there would be obvious jokes with, particularly since Disney Plus is now serendipitously showing up at a time when it can have great success. It's already been a success in America. Now the rest of the world launch looks like it's going to go quite well for all sorts of reasons. I think it would have gone well anyway. But
Yeah,
the
I think
fact that
so.
we've made Apple the butt of a few of our jokes already when it comes to the streaming wars. I
Yeah.
think if they buy Disney just when Disney's biggest jewel in the crown is their streaming service, they'll be the jokes of Apple can do everything but a streaming service. They had to buy Disney to get one or a
Yeah, like
successful one.
this. Yeah, like there is that level of kind of like like I guess show marketing in the sense that Apple have always like if Steve Jobs was still alive, he'd probably be like, no, we are not. We're doing it ourselves, and
Hmm.
we're because I don't want like Disney Apple, you know.
Yeah,
I want Apple. Like
he
that's
was a
it.
brand man, all right. That's
Yeah,
very true.
and I think so. I don't know if they'll continue on with that trend, but I really think that they might. Like, because as you said, the jokes will just constantly fly about like, you had to buy a multi-billion-dollar industry just so that you could like set up a streaming service. Like, come on, Apple.
Well, the only thing is, you know what really doesn't care about being laughed at, and that's rich people with lots and lots of money. If it works out positively in their favor for their bank balance, they'll do just about anything, no matter how much ridicule comes their way.
That
And
is that is true.
we've tried to be jovial. I want to bring it down for 1 second because we are talking about this during. I don't want to talk about the horrible reality that it is for everybody right now. That everybody's being affected in various ways, all the way from fatally affected with people dying to losing jobs, etc. But that is part of what we're going to have to cover here, and part of that is the movie industry, not just people making movies and making TV shows that are all now. Some shows that are going to have gone into hiatus because they can't film are not going to come back. Some movies are not going to get finished. Getting things greenlit is, nothing's getting greenlit right now, exactly.
It's essentially just a massive pause on the entertainment industry completely. Like the only things that are currently going to be in any way profitable are if you already have a film in the backlog, release like your best idea is to just contact if you don't have a streaming service yourself, contact one of the streaming
Hmm.
services and go, let's do a premiere with our new movie that we can't fucking get people into the cinema, you know.
Yeah,
So like I think you might find that if COVID-19 goes on for another month, like because it seems like it's going to be in like April, end of April is like
the earliest, the
yeah,
very earliest, probably. Yeah,
is when like the earliest that the dust will settle kind of thing. It means that I say April, you'll see a lot of movies probably being connected either with, partnership streaming services or with their own streaming services. Like,
yeah. I'd agree with that, and I think one of the things there, and Paul, I know we didn't get to do any preamble or setup or show notes for this because we were literally just. I was my camera kept falling over and I couldn't get stuff to work. Paul's been very patient while I fumbled with wires.
and and I cause this because I was making dinner.
No, well, you're
I
supposed to
don't know
make
why I
dinner.
did. I don't know why I was making queer quotes. I was making dinner.
Was dinner that bad that it's only hypothetically dinner? It's like, oh yeah,
I don't know.
dinner.
I don't know. The chips that I make are shit.
Oh
Like,
really?
but the
Oh,
burgers are fantastic.
oh well. It's hey, you actually make them both at the same time. If I make one of those two things, I'm like, there's dinner. There is no side. um,
But
Importantly, to the people who are losing their jobs goes across the industry. So when it comes
yeah,
to where people will release movies, that has the other side of things, which is cinema chains. We may be living, and this is going to be a horrible thing to say, but we may have now lived through, in our lifetimes anyway, Paul, the time of maximum cinema, because there are going to be cinema chains that don't survive this. There's going to be closures. There's going to
yeah.
be companies that go under. Streaming is going to probably become even more. It's going to gain a stronger foothold in how people want to consume things. And the idea of premiering your movie on a streaming service, which film is already doing it? I had this last week.
We had one for that was on the Super Bowl. It was the Annihilation, wasn't it?
Yeah, but no, there's a current film that was going to be a cinema release that now they're going to
The
release early.
Bloodshot.
Oh no, because that made it out actually. Perel Vin's film made it out and didn't do great. I don't think in the states.
Well, like I remember just while you try to
Hmm.
remember the thing. I remember about 2 weeks ago we saw the worst box office ever in like 20 years of like I think probably more of the US box office. It was like 55 million, which is like the lowest it's ever been. That's a collective, sorry.
Yeah, I
But
know.
it's a collective box office taking for all the movies that were released about 2 weeks ago was 55 million, which is the lowest in 20 years.
I know, and that's an
Just
opening weekend
ridiculous.
for a Joker or something. So yeah, like
Yeah.
it is crazy. But whatever that film is, and it will come back to me. They're talking about releasing it as a it's Trolls 2 or something like that. I think it's one of those.
Oh, is it
Um,
Trolls? Is it Trolls 3, the world tour? It's
Possibly.
The Anna Kendrick story.
Oh, of course, Anna Kendrick, and he remembers. Look at him.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Anna Kendrick, I think, has been one of the like advocates for getting it released on a few streaming services just for kids and stuff
yeah.
because
And don't get me
um
wrong, it makes sense. But if you're going to, it's going to be very hard to reverse the flow on this or put the genie back in the bottle or whatever way you want to say it. Let's say you take a big release, like a Black Widow or something, and say, we're going to release this on Disney Plus, but you actually have to pay an extra $15 or $20 to watch it in the first month. So to
yeah,
try and make some of that cinema money.
yeah,
If they do that and it's a success, cinemas are going to feel that effect for forever because it means the people who like that will be like, no, I don't want to go to the cinema. I want to be able to do, I want you to do simultaneous release so I can decide to pay more and stay home and watch it. That'll be very, very hard to put, to turn back the clock on if they go and start doing that.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like it's because I was just like when until you were just like oh, the plan would be that like I was like, I hope he doesn't secretly. I was just like, I hope he doesn't, secretly to come up with a really good business plan for being able to like do premieres on streaming. But you did it perfectly. Uh, the problem with like the only problem currently with streaming premieres is the fact is that there's no payment gate to
Mm,
get to them. Like Annihilation was released after the Super Bowl, like pretty much immediately, and it was just open to anyone who had the Netflix platform. So
yeah,
like the only way that you can currently do it is literally to be this like, yeah, you're paying your monthly subscription, but any premieres or anything like that we release, you have to pay like an extra $15 because because I was going to say that the only way that the premiere like on streaming services survives essentially past the current situation that we're currently seeing is if the money is way better because like don't like it because the ticket prices don't go to the studios or it's the distribution rights that like you buy and stuff so like if the $15 that you pay to get to unlock the premiere on your streaming service like accounts to the distribution rights for a cinema chain, then that's the only way that this will change. You
yeah.
know, like it's the money. Like we'd have to see the figures on like the distribution rights costs to the streaming war, or not the streaming war, the streaming premiere plan. I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Who loses out there if they went for a plan like that? A lot of people say, well, the consumer wins because they have more choice. I disagree because in the long term, if you lose brick and mortar, if you lose physical building cinemas, you lose that cinema. We should point above our heads, going. We have an episode about why. I think Paul, it's up to your other side, maybe. Yeah, up there is probably where it'll appear. Why it's still worth going to the cinema. I think cinemas have gotten better and better and better to. They create a better experience and are of a higher standard to try and get people to come into them because it's a hard business to make money at. As much as people don't see that from the outside, it's a
Mm-hmm.
tough business. If the consumer is given more choice, as it could be said, I think there's going to be less choice because I think cinema will just end up dying off and being purely art house where you can go and watch films from, 10 years ago, whatever it might be. And I for one, I'd hate to see that. And obviously, we're doing this channel because we both love film. But I think it's safe to say, I'll speak for myself, but I think Paul will agree, we both love actual cinema as well, the
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. It's the experience that really kind of, I guess, galvanizes a lot of entertainment kind of, but people who are into the entertainment because like we all remember going to the cinema as a young kid. And I think now that we just are able to do it ourselves, it's kind of like it's a new experience that we really enjoyed. Like, oh, we're going to go out and to the cinema and going to go, like to the Marvel or whatever movie.
Yeah.
The pin in my fucking hat right now. Pardon for my language right now. Do you know what they did? Cineworld in Dublin decided that they were going to renovate their screens, which includes, and I fingers crossed, screen 9 which has been a thorn in my side. And
Just
then
just so you know, he really does have a thing in for
uh,
that room.
Screen 9 in Cineworld has the cup holders in the seats in front of you down below. It's really annoying when you've got a large drink or anything like that because people can stand on it. It's a whole thing. Um, but then COVID-19 came along and it's ruined that. I might like Cineworld could fall out, like could fall down, and I will never get the benefit of the fact that Screen 9 has been renovated, and I
Well,
can try lay claim to the reason they did it was solely me.
I'm pretty sure that if they manage to finish renovation of that haunted screen that you dislike so much, and they are going to go under, then I will write them a letter saying, look, before demolition day, can we go? I'll bring a projector and we'll screen something in there just so you can have the one experience,
The last laugh.
the last laugh. And actually, here's something for anybody who doesn't live here and know us personally. It's funny that both myself and Paul, there are two large cinema chains in Ireland, and we actually frequent one each, if you know what I mean. We cover the Irish cinema gambit,
Is
partially due to location, partially due to preference.
is there not three? Is IMC not
Oh well, I suppose IMC. Well,
like they'd be the
they'd be the
third
third,
member,
yeah.
the like the Ringo to the the John and
So if Odeon is John and Cineworld is who's the other one?
Paul.
Paul, thank you. Then IMC's Ringo. Who gets to be so the
Yep.
Lighthouse Cinema here is George Harrison because he was really really talented.
Yeah.
And so are Lighthouse. Big shout out to Lighthouse Cinemas.
Yeah, they're very good.
But yeah, I'd hate to see any of those chains, and particularly the independents. I still haven't gotten to the reopened classic,
Stella.
the Stella down in Rathmines. Yeah,
Yeah, the Stella's good. I'm hoping. I've heard some bad stories about them laying off people
oh,
due to the COVID or coronavirus thing. But like, I do hope as a kind of they do have a restaurant which is doing takeouts besides the cinema. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe some of the
it'll
like
keep the cash flow going.
yeah, just far enough. And then we also in Ireland have like the government has kind of stepped in for a lot of government or a lot of companies to kind of like keep them going and stuff. So I'm hoping that some of that legislation will hopefully keep a lot of the cinemas open, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, let's hope
Like,
so. Let's hope so. However, this all turns out, and I've just realized because I finally realized the one thing that we're missing is a clock that I can see.
oh,
Um,
we're 24:31.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, we're going to keep this in under 25 minutes then. This was our test live stream recording. We're going to talk after we stop recording as to when we're going to release it. But for the foreseeable future, I think you should look out on Thursday nights around 8 o'clock because we're probably going to start premiering live so
Yeah.
that you all can join in, have a chat, ask us questions about whatever topic we're going to cover. And we might get a little bit of social closeness, even though we're socially distant.
Oh, like help each other by staying apart. What is that
That was
phrase?
yeah, that was our
Um,
our version of a prime minister here. The Taoiseach was
I,
stay together but stay away or some
yeah,
such.
yeah. I do have one last thing just to say.
Please.
Like the Premier thing is really good. Yeah, take a part in the chats and stuff. But the several governments have decided to. This is part of the act, like the stream wars and also people losing their jobs. That unions in the production, like camera unions, the prop guys and stuff like that, they're trying to write legislation to kind of protect them as well, which is to kind of keep them going, even though they might not be working and stuff, which is like really nice of because like the Irish industry has started to grow quite large,
Yeah,
and it would be really sucky if this kind of like ends up bringing it back to like the 90s, which was like
that
awful.
really really would. Yeah, no, and I think obviously we have a vested interest in this, but I think if when the world hopefully goes back to normal, one of the good things out of this hopefully will be a chance for a reignition and even more growth from sectors like the Irish cinema industry. And I hope many many good things come out of this, but I certainly hope that there's something left for people to put in the cinemas, or at least cinemas left for people to put things into.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, so on a very positive note, though, next time you see us, I'll actually have put the camera facing me in a way that I'm not like, what's going on? This was a test that we turned into a recording, and we would love to see you. So, how do we usually finish these videos out, Paul?
Usually we go, I've been Paul,
And I've been Patrick,
and we've been here, State.
and we'll see you next time live.
Uh,
Bye.